Let's explore the story of Robert Smalls, an important figure in Black history. Born in 1839, he was once enslaved but went on to become a symbol of bravery and progress. From breaking free from slavery to playing a hero's role in the Civil War, Smalls' life has many parts to it. In this journey, we'll look at the good and not so good parts that shaped his legacy. His early life and enslavement. In the hot year of 1839, in Beaufort, South Carolina, a special person was born. His name was Robert Smalls, and he became really famous in history because he was very strong and brave. When he was a little boy, the fields where he lived showed that he was going to be someone important, even though life was hard because he was enslaved. Robert Smalls didn't let it stop him. He grew up facing tough times, and it was like a preview of the amazing life he was going to have. He was enslaved, but he never let it make him feel weak. His journey started with difficult times, but he went on to have a life that broke free from slavery and showed the true meaning of freedom. Escape to freedom. In 1862, Robert Smalls did something very brave. He took control of a big ship called the CSS Planter, which belonged to the people who kept him enslaved. Even though the waters were dangerous and guarded, Smalls sailed the ship in the dark to bring himself, his family, and other enslaved people to safety with the Union forces. The ship, CSS Planter, became a symbol of freedom. Robert Smalls showed that even in hard times, a person can be really strong and brave. His story is about breaking free and being a symbol of hope for others. Civil War service. Robert Smalls was a very strong and brave person who was born during a difficult time when people were enslaved. He didn't let the chains of slavery hold him back. In 1862, he did something really bold and escaped from being enslaved. After that, he joined the Union Navy during the Civil War to help defend freedom. What made him even more special was that he knew a lot about the local waterways, which was like a secret weapon. This helped him become a hero along the southern coast. His knowledge of the rivers and waters was so good that he became very important in guiding Union ships through tricky waters and taking part in important military actions. His journey from being enslaved to becoming a key person in the Union Navy shows not only his personal success, but also how he made a big impact on history during a tough time in America. Contribution to Black troops. Robert Smalls was a really determined and committed person. He didn't just show his bravery on naval ships, but he also worked hard for fairness on the battlefield. During the Civil War, he strongly believed in having Black soldiers fight alongside others. He knew that African Americans had a lot of strength and resilience, so he played a big part in getting them to join the Army. Smalls worked to bring together the 1st and 2nd South Carolina regiments. Because of him, the Union forces got stronger with more Black soldiers. This was a big deal because it changed how people saw the important role of Black soldiers in the military. Robert Smalls made sure that everyone knew how valuable Black soldiers were, and he helped make history by fighting for fairness and equality for all. His political career. After the Civil War, Robert Smalls went from being on naval ships to being involved in politics. He made a big impact on the way things were after the war in America. Smalls was really strong and committed to making sure everyone had freedom. He became part of important political events, like the South Carolina Constitutional Convention in 1868, where they decided how things should be in the South. His words, wisdom, and strong commitment to fairness helped him become part of the state government and even the U.S. Congress. This shows how much courage and determination he had. In the confusing time after the war, Robert Smalls worked hard to make sure that people who were just freed from slavery had the same rights as everyone else. His efforts were a big help in the fight for fairness and equality in a country dealing with the aftermath of a big conflict. Advocacy for civil rights. Robert Smalls didn't stop fighting for fairness and justice after the war in politics. He became a big supporter of civil rights, especially for African Americans who were just freed. Smalls had a big heart and wanted everyone to be treated the same way and have the same chances. He worked really hard to make sure there were laws that treated everyone fairly and gave equal opportunities. His strong efforts were heard in important places where decisions were made. He wanted to break down the walls that kept people from being treated equally. One important thing he did was focus on making sure everyone had access to education. Smalls knew that knowledge could help people break free from unfair systems. In his amazing journey, he didn't just free himself, but became a powerful voice for a future where everyone, no matter where they came from, had a chance for fairness and success. In controversial business ventures. In Robert Small's life, there were some parts that people didn't agree with or liked. Even though he did great things in politics, he also faced criticism. One tough time was when he tried to do business like with a railroad company, but it didn't go well and they lost a lot of money. People quickly blamed him for it. But we need to understand Smalls as a person who took risks and tried new things, not just as a hero or politician. Sometimes things didn't work out, and that's okay. It's important to see him as someone who faced challenges and kept going. Even when people were not happy with him, he stayed strong. This shows how life is full of ups and downs, and Robert Small's story is about facing both and still making a good life. Legacy as a trailblazer. Robert Smalls was a very important person in American history. He was not only a hero in the war, but he also helped make things fair for everyone. He was born as a slave in South Carolina, but he didn't let that stop him. In 1862, he took control of a Confederate ship and sailed it to the Union side, making him the first black captain of a U.S. ship. He fought in many battles during the Civil War. After the war, he became a politician and served as a congressman from South Carolina for a long time. He wanted the U.S. Army to include everyone, and he fought for equal rights for black and white people. He also worked hard for free and mandatory public education for all kids. Robert Smalls was a leader who wanted to change things and inspire people to believe in freedom and fairness. He made a big impact in American history. Monuments and recognition. People remember Robert Smalls for many important things he did. He bravely escaped slavery and fought heroically in the Civil War. But even after the war, he kept doing amazing things. He became a leader during the time of Reconstruction, which means he helped make things better after the war. In South Carolina and other places, he worked hard to make sure African Americans had rights and were treated fairly. He played a big part in starting public schools for everyone, making sure black and white people could learn together, and making sure black people could vote. People remember him by building monuments and memorials in different places. There's one where he's buried, another at a house he bought and gave away, and one more at the South Carolina State House. All these show how important Robert Smalls was in American history. Looking at Robert Smalls' life, we see a mix of good and challenging times. His story is like a puzzle piece in Black history, showing us that progress often comes with both success and difficulties. By understanding all aspects of Smalls' life, we gain insights into the broader journey for equality and fairness in the history of Black people. His story teaches us that the road to a better future may have ups and downs, but each step contributes to a larger struggle for justice. So that was all about the video. Make sure to subscribe to our channel and hit the bell icon for